What's going on, everybody? What's up, Instagram? I haven't been live in a little while. Today we are going to be interviewing former major leaguer Shea Hillenbrand. Excellent lifetime career hitter. Fantastic. Here he is. Shea, how are you?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Love the background, by the way. Is that a painting? Is that a painting or a framed picture?
Yeah, no, that's a Vernon Wells masterpiece. Vernon Wells Sr. does those. So at that
Very
point in
nice.
time, I just played for three teams, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Diamondbacks. Three of the six.
Three of the six. I was about to say, three of the six. You've been all over, which is very impressive.
Yes,
How you
sir.
doing? How are you? How you feeling?
Very good. Very good, thank you.
Terrific. So, first of all, I appreciate you being on here today. Some of my followers were probably not even born yet and it's not to be offensive. They were probably just born as you were starting to get into your second part of your career, which is something I'd love to talk more about. I am a diehard baseball guy. I love coaching. I'm a mentor. I'm a possible, hopeful leader to a lot of my students and other players across the country. I also look at myself as an entrepreneur. I mean, I'm running a company. I have employees, etc. So, when I came across your Instagram, I was very inspired because not only the fact that you were a major leaguer, but the fact that you completely pivoted after being a major leaguer, which is unbelievable, and really became a successful entrepreneur. So these are my two favorite subjects, business and baseball. That's something that I may want to get into as far as like doing a podcast, something like business and baseball. So I hope, you should be honored. You're my first guest, Shea. I appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Whatever you want to know. I've had a pretty crazy story, pretty crazy ride. Not many people know my true story of what I really went through. So I'm an open book. Whatever I could do to help, and hopefully a couple things that I could add can help your listeners with what they're going through.
So tell me, who is Shea Hillenbrand?
You want to keep it short? You want to keep it? You want to get real?
You're the boss. You're the boss.
So what happened is my lane that I've just established and where I'm at right now in my life. I'm 45 years old. 2 days ago, I think 2 days ago I turned 45. And my childhood dream, I had two childhood dreams: to play Major League Baseball and to own a zoo. So I loved animals when I was a kid, and fortunately, by the grace of God, I'm one of the very few guys that maybe 98% of people don't get to accomplish one of their dreams, let alone two. I've accomplished both my childhood dreams, but through the process, what happens is I told my story. I told myself a story. And if you Google me, you'll see what's going on. A lot of your listeners, a lot of your viewers, like you said, might not know who I am and where I've been and what I've done other than swinging a baseball bat. But I had a pretty controversial personality. I had a pretty controversial character in the clubhouse. For one, I was deemed the cancer of the clubhouse. And for two, I was deemed the a-hole of the clubhouse. And what happens is that's a byproduct of characteristic flaws that I had because the story that I created in my head driven from my belief system. So what happens is at a very young age, which most of your kids are going to, most of the kids you work with, is when you come to experiences, how you interpret those experiences and communicate those experiences to yourself are going to form your belief system. So what happens is most people don't know how to navigate those experiences because now the younger youth are being driven and being led by their parents, by the coaches, by the industry of baseball, youth baseball. But when I was a kid, we just went out and played. It's a lot different now. So when I'd have experiences with my father, I would say, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, my dad doesn't love me. Because how he interacted with me, it's kind of like a generational curse. And he dealt with the same stuff with my grandfather, his father, and then going from there. But it all started when I was 14 years old, right before I was a sophomore in high school. So I was ninth grade as junior high, and I'm living in Southern California. I get all my friends got all my family, got like rocking and rolling, getting ready to go to play high school baseball. And my dad walks into my room and he proceeds to tell me that I'm going to uproot our family from beautiful Southern California and move to the hot desert of Arizona. And it's like, what? So the story that I told myself when my father left the room was, like I said, I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. My dad doesn't love me. Because how could he move me? How could he uproot me from my family, community of friends and my community of sports? Because I was always one of the better players. And I always found my solitude in my community of friends. So as I reluctantly left all my friends at my sophomore year of high school at 14 years old, I decided to become an overachiever through athletics. So I quickly became #1 soccer player in high school. Not many people might not know that. I was the #1 soccer player in Arizona, and I had opportunities to go to play in Europe. I had opportunities to go to play at a university. But my childhood dream, growing up in Southern California, was to play Major League Baseball. And that's all I wanted to do. But I had no opportunities to go anywhere, to play anywhere out of high school. So what happened is I walked on at the local junior college, Mesa Community College in Arizona. And I made the teams because of my work ethic. I was the first guy there and the last guy to leave every single day. And then 2 years after my sophomore year of junior college baseball, I became the #1 baseball player at the junior college level in the state of Arizona. It's
Wow.
like, oh my gosh, man, I'm on a hot track. So that gave me the chance to get drafted by the Boston Red Sox. And that was pretty cool. But check this out. At 20 years old, this is like, I'm an adult. I'm an adult, 20 years old, right? I told all my friends and family when I got drafted by the Red Sox that I got drafted by the White Sox. I had no team that I had no idea.
You got drafted by some Sox, some kind of Sox.
Yeah. So the reason I tell you that is because when I was a kid, when I was a very young kid, I would sit at the third deck of Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine. I'd have my chocolate malt in one hand and my nachos in my other hand, and I'd always wanted to pursue my dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player. So at that time, since 7, 8, 9 years old, I always engaged all my senses. I would sit there and hear the crack of the bat. I'd smell the grass. I'd hear the roar of the crowd. I immersed myself into that environment because let me tell you this. I want to share this with your listeners. Your mind can't discern the difference between imagination and reality, so I'd make my dream become tangible by engaging my senses. And I always ended up the night by envisioning an announcer, PA announcer, now batting, number 29. Shea Hillenbrand. This is like 8, 9, 10 years old. I like subconsciously did this. Nobody told me. I just did it because I wanted to pursue my dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player so badly.
That's awesome.
Why do I tell you this? Because the consistency of a Dodgers fan in the 1980s is you show up in the third inning, you leave in the seventh inning to beat LA traffic, and you listen to Vince Scully on the radio. I had no idea about baseball outside of Chavez Ravine, outside of Dodgers. I didn't even realize who are the Red Sox? This is like 20 years old. So first of all, that's what I tell everybody that dude, don't you realize you got drafted by the Red Sox, one of the most prestigious teams in baseball? Like, you don't know the history of 1918, last time they won. I said, no, I'm a Dodger fan. Dodger fans don't know that stuff, man. And 2, like you said, brother, I would always say, I don't give a dang what Sox it is. I'm going to the big leagues. So when I went to spring training, I got to spring training, my first minor league spring training. And what happened was, at that time, I was hitting extra in the batting cage. I was always working. That's what I know how to do. That's what I did, and that's what set me apart. And the minor league director came up to me after one of our practices one day, and I was in the batting cage working while all the other players were showering up, heading home, going out, hanging out. I was working because I was on hot pursuit to go to the major leagues. And the minor league director came up to me. The minor league director came up to me and he said, "Hey, come here. I got to talk to you." And instantly, I was freaking out. I'm like, this is the boss. This is the decision maker. What did I do? Why does he want to talk to me? And the reason that stemmed that is because that story I told myself at 14 years old. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. My dad doesn't love me. I always had trouble with authoritative figures. So you got to understand, I got kicked off my junior high baseball team. I got kicked off my high school baseball team. I got kicked off my junior college baseball team by this time. And I was like, I'm in the professional baseball, in the minor leagues. What did I do? I don't want to mess this up. So he calls me over and he says, "Hey, I got to talk to you." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he says, "You have all the makings to become a Major League Baseball player and make millions and millions of dollars in the major leagues." I was so green at it. I was like, "Tell me what to do." So that's the second thing I want to share to your listeners is that the first thing is you got to make your dream become tangible. You got to go out there, rock it. You got to engage your RAS, your reticular activating system, and you have to just immerse yourself in that vision of seeing yourself, because like I said, your mind can't discern the difference between imagination and reality. And the second thing is you have to find somebody who's been there and done that, right? You have to, regardless of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, where you're at, there's people in the position that have had success or having success with what you're trying to achieve. You have to find that person. And in that situation right there, that was that minor league director. He knew exactly what to do to get me there, or else he wouldn't say that. So I said, tell me what to do. That's the second step. You locate the first person, locate the person is the first step. The second step is you have to have that person lay out a plan for you. So he laid out this plan, detailed plan, just do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I was like, okay, cool. And that leads you to step number 3, which is the hardest step for so many people, but a high achiever. It's simple. You have to implement that plan. You have to go out there and rock it. And so many people don't have enough confidence, and then fear creeps in, and then they have failure creep in, and then they get knocked on their back. And then, dude, you hit 3 out of 10 and you're a Hall of Famer. You're making millions like I did, and crazy, like hitting 300. Like, so many people allow failure to define them rather than refining them. So what I did is, like, I went out there, I had this system, because your mind, the uncluttered mind, is systematic. So you always have to have processes in place and systems in place to go out there and rock it, whether you're hitting off the tee, whether you're taking ground balls, whether you're warming up, whether you have a routine. When I was in the major leagues, man, I woke up at 9 o'clock every day, and I went to bed at midnight every day. And I can tell you verbatim, like, what I did every single hour. There's no such thing as superstitions in baseball, brother. What it is you have to have a specific focus on task at hand to master that skill set, to be able to go out there and have consistent success. So your mind has to have that consistent, specific focus. If you have generalized focus, which so many coaches do for youth players, then what happens is they get confused. Put your elbow here, do this, go out there, do that. They micromanage everything because they watch a YouTube video, they listen to a guy like me, and they think it's simple. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, period. And I'll tell you what, it drives most major leaguers nuts. I've swung a baseball bat 1,000,000 times, man. I don't care if I ever pick up a bat again. I'm done with that, dude, because it's crazy what's required to perform at that level. So I implemented that plan that the minor league director put out for me. And in 5 years in the minor leagues, I got player of the year 3 times. Wow. I got hurt halfway through one season. I tore my ACL in my right knee catching, or else I probably would have got player of the year that year. And another season, I got called up from low A to high A, or else I probably would have player five of the 5 years, like player of the year. But, like, I was never better than anybody else, really. But I knew how to work. I had that driving force, and I was just rocking it. Like, when everybody else is hanging out, I was working. When everybody else is saying it's too hot, too tired, all that stuff, I was working. I was driving because I had that focus. I wanted to go to the big leagues. But my why for wanting to go to the big leagues was super, super unhealthy. The only reason why I wanted to go to the big leagues, I didn't know this at the time, but I figured this out later in life. The reason why I wanted to go to the big leagues is because I wanted to get my father's approval. And it's unhealthy. You can obtain success with something like that, but you'll never sustain it. So after 5 years, I got my shot to play Major League Baseball. In 2001, which is probably before a lot of people are born, a lot of your listeners are born, I was going to the Major League Spring Training in hopes to become the AAA starting catcher for the Red Sox in Pawtucket, because I just came from AA. I just set the league record for most hits in the history of the Eastern League in AA. I don't know how I did it. I know how I did it, but it's like, dude, it's crazy. All you got to do is work. You got to work and grind and work and grind. I don't care who you are, where you're at. You got to put in the work. There's no secret, right? So you have to have that driving force to push you so you don't give up. So I got my shot to play in the major leagues. I was a starting third baseman for the Boston Red Sox in 2001, an opening day in Baltimore, Maryland. See, what happens is I was on the field during the national anthem, and I started crying. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm here. I did it. 5 years ago, I was playing junior college baseball. See, what I want to share with you, with your listeners too, man, like the league will find talent anywhere. They got scouts all over. You don't got to go to D1. You don't got to start D1. I know everybody wants to go play D1. I know everybody's got to pursue. Dude, just focus on what you can focus on and just work what you got to work, because there's so many things we can't control. So I got on opening day in the major leagues, my rookie season, and I'm crying. Like it's just like emotionally overwhelmed.
Of course.
Like, I did it. I did it, man. But what's crazy is that on the inside, I had this internal pain that was horrible, driven from that story that I would always tell myself from 13, 14, 15 years old. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. My dad doesn't love me. And when you're going to the top, people have to have, you have to have obsessive compulsive disorder. Like I was obsessed, and that story, whatever story we tell ourselves, guys, is going to dictate and discern the decisions that we make, because that forms our belief system. The decisions that we make on a daily basis are formed off two things: your belief system and your values. My values, I had no values at all, because I compromised my values, and my character was compromised because I was hurting inside, and I'm going to the big leagues. So my belief was, I'm going to be a Major League Baseball player. So I was on a route of nothing but self-destruction, a super unhealthy path, because as I'm having success. So over 7 memorable years in the Major Leagues, like rock star, like two-time All-Star. I was the first Red Sox player. That's just like my phone. Like I'm proud of this, man. I'm the first Red Sox player to ever hit a game-winning home run off Mariano Rivera at Fenway Park. When I hit that ball, dude, it was in 2002 before the seats were up there. When I hit that ball, it immediately went in the net above the monster. I'm rounding first base, dude, and like the ground shaking just because of what I did, not because of what the team did. Like Shea Hillenbrand, all over the front page of the newspaper. David beats Goliath. Like, it's crazy what happened. But you got to understand, I was so hurt. I had so much pain inside. I was like driven to a point where I was disconnecting from who I am. And a lot of guys don't realize this. A lot of people don't realize, like, Major League Baseball players have so much pressure that they disconnect from who they are. They sell their souls for the game because the pressure is so great that they lose themselves. And if I don't disconnect from who I am, I might not have a chance to perform tonight. And if I don't perform tonight, I'm not going to have a job. And that's where people have a misperception of Major League Baseball players, because, oh, boo-hoo, pull up your bootstraps. You're a millionaire. Just find a real job. Figure this out. What people don't realize, that what Major League Baseball players go through, and professional baseball players in the minor league system, what they go through is they quickly disconnect from themselves as a person, and they attach their identity to what they do. So now I'm a Major League Baseball player, not Shea Hillenbrand. And I'm so scared to lose that identity of Major League Baseball that I just don't even know how to function. And I have these character flaws in my character that drove me to make decisions on a daily basis in the major leagues that were super unhealthy, that formed that perception of me. But all the while, I had those character flaws because my belief system and that pain that the drive inside. I had these character flaws inside me to keep everybody out, to try to protect myself out of like a survival mode. So why do I tell you this? After my 7th major league season, I'm in the prime of my Major League Baseball career. I've already made $18 million, rocking and rolling. Private jets, spent $1 million in private jets. I got 3 mansions, 6 cars, 300 pairs of shoes. I'm hanging out with the rock stars of the rock stars, rocking it on top of the world. I hit 310 for the D-backs. I hit 3 home runs. Like, dude, I am like rocking it, bro. But I'm sitting at home with my firstborn son in my arms on my couch. And I'm sitting there and I'm having a father-son moment. See, I have 3 adopted children. Not many people know that either. And I always wanted to be a father, just like you probably do, just like your listeners do. We're all human beings too. And so many people don't realize that Major League Baseball players are human beings. And we really don't know how to navigate the internal operations of us, because we're trained at a high level to go hit and to go pitch and to go field. And that's what scares me so much nowadays with youth baseball, because it's being trickled down into college. It's trickled down into high school. It's trickled down into the youth level in trouble. And it drives me absolutely crap, 8 nuts. Let me tell you why it drives me crazy. Because I'm sitting on the couch with my son as a father, and I see nothing but a beautiful future for my son, a bright, abundant little boy at 18 months old. And I was trying to connect with my pure agape love, my unconditional love for my son, so I could show him my pure admiration for him, dude. And I couldn't. Why? Because all I could feel was that pain. And I disconnected from who I was. Like so many people out there right now that are Major League Baseball players. These guys are struggling. It's hard. It's challenging, man. And I want to provide my voice to help other people find their voice through the process, so they don't go through what I went through. What am I trying to say? That pain became so big and so vast and so abundant that I became numb to everything and everybody around me. I'd have little girls in the stands holding up signs saying, "Will you marry me, Shea?" I would do autograph signings for $10,000 an hour. And little girls would come to the table crying and shaking just because they got to meet me. Teenage girls, as if I'm Justin Bieber. But what they don't see is that deep, deep pain resonating inside of me, fueling that pain-driven game. And it sucked. So what am I trying to get at? At that point in time with my son in my arms after my 7th year and the prime of my Major League Baseball career, I didn't consult with anybody. I didn't talk to my wife. I didn't talk to my agent. I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't talk to any friends. Right there on that couch when I was numb and I was gone, and I was disconnected, I made a decision proven to be the biggest decision of my life. I quit. I walked away. I disappeared. I hurt so bad, I didn't know what to do. And that's what led me to the point of the character flaws that I had, to get into a fight with John Gibbons in the clubhouse, to call Theo Epstein, the general manager of the Red Sox, a faggot on the radio. And time and time and time and time again, I would do these things that I was so ashamed of. I was so embarrassed of that I didn't know what to do. So I'd revert inside and I would just have pain fuel that process of that negative figure eight cycle of sad and sorrow, and then pain and anger and frustration, and I lash out. But I always numbed it because I could hit. I could hit because I know how to work, but it's a lethal combination. So I convinced myself to come home to be a father to my beautiful children and pursue my second childhood dream. Bro, I left $50 million of potential earnings on the table in the prime of my career. I left to buy a zoo and run a zoo. Like, who does that?
Wow.
I think I'm the only Major League Baseball player ever in the history of baseball to do that. Major League Baseball, leave to buy a zoo. So I had this great idea because Major League Baseball didn't fill that void. The glory didn't fill that void. The money didn't fill that void. All the fame didn't fill it. Man, playing in front of millions of people in all-star games and rocking and rolling and living that dream that we all had, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, playoff game. I'm at the play. Like, I'm living that dream that so many people had, and I couldn't do it because I was disconnected, because I was searching for something that baseball couldn't provide. So I went and bought a horse farm. I had 3 businesses I started because my dad's an entrepreneur and he's a businessman. I'm like, I'm bound to get his approval now. And I wanted to run away from that pain of baseball because I attached the pain that I had my whole life to baseball. But I didn't realize that pain would come with me. So in 4 years, I accumulated 300 farm and exotic animals. I had camels, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, monkeys, raccoons, everything on the moon because I was uber rich and I could do whatever I wanted. So it was a super cool hobby. And what I would do is I get these rescued animals. I had this vision in my head to get these rescued animals, and I put them in a position to interact and impact inner city and child crisis and disabled kids in my community. And what happened at my farm superseded anything I'd ever did on a Major League Baseball field. I'd transform kids' lives on a daily basis, or my animals would. I would just put them in an environment, and it was crazy. I quickly became the biggest and baddest guy in town, and not the guy that was a Major League Baseball player. I was a guy that owned Marley Farms. But it came at a steep price, bro. It came at a super steep price. After 4 years, I knew nothing about business. And my pain was so severe that I was doing all these things externally to help other people out, just to try to fill that void and try to prove to people, don't you see what I do? Don't you see what I've done? This is subconsciously, I wouldn't audibly say it, but this is what I'm subconsciously thinking. And it drove me into a spiral of nothingness. I received my 3rd foreclosure notice on my farm. I was paying $34,000 a month just to keep, out of my own money, to keep this place running. I was feeding 300 animals, and I was losing my family. And the millions and millions of dollars I made playing Major League Baseball. I lost everything, man. I had nothing left but the shirt on my back. This is in 2012. And I went the spiritual route. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, when you get stripped of everything, see what happens, money and fame covers up all the crap that we have. And once that's stripped, it's just like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, I just want to die. I would drive around like, what's the purpose of life? I've raked home runs. I've lived my dreams. I did all this stuff. I did so many things at such a young age that I had no idea who the heck I am. I lost my identity of who I am and who I was at that point in time. So I started going to church. And if you're a Major League Baseball player, if you don't understand, like, we're obsessive. We're rock star. Like, we go. I'd go to church 4 days, 5 days a week, holy rolling with big mamas, a little crazy. I'd go Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday night, and I rocking it. I started speaking in schools, churches, prisons, like rocking it, man. I wanted to share my story because I love people so much. And that's what's crazy, is that this is the true Shea Hillenbrand, not the character that played Major League Baseball that people are like, oh, you're the cancer. Oh, you left baseball because nobody wanted you. Yeah, you're right. I was stuck at a very high level. And when you're at a very high level of success, everything gets magnified. But this is what's relatable to so many people out there. So when I go to church, I'd be speaking. And after I get done out of the pulpit, or I go to walk out of a prison, like, man, I would be speaking in prisons that I didn't even care. Like, whatever. What do you guys want? I speak life into these guys, and they'd be like walking out of the prison with me, like because the anointing and what they felt, like people are probably feeling right now with what I'm talking right now. I'm like, dude, y'all realize like you have to stay in here, right? You can't come out here. Like you're in prison. You know, like it's crazy what was on me through that process. And people would tell me, man, you like changed my life. You rocked me. Like it's amazing what you did. And I go home at night, every single night. Like I'm only operating at like 60% of my capability. I know I could do so much more with speaking. I know I can make so much a bigger impact. Like my story's all over the place. I don't think I'm being very effective of what I'm capable of doing because I know how to train my mind at the highest level, becoming a Major League Baseball player. You know how you feel and what's going on. So the most important thing though, dude, at that time, I'd still go to bed with that pain inside of me. That pain inside of me every single night. And I was like, what? Gosh, dog it. What do I got to do? Like, I quickly realized that even God, even religion, even church, and that's what so many people struggle with, even church could even help me with that pain. And I quickly realized that it was like putting a Band-Aid on a scab on a wound, just covering it up. But that wound was deep inside with my belief system and my story that I was telling myself. And I always tell people, and I always walk this and navigate this space very, very respectfully to who I'm about to talk about. I felt like I was that prostitute in church. I felt like that child that was molested in church. I felt like that woman that was beat by her husband. Why? Because they don't feel like they're worthy. Their belief system of what they are, they've been beat down so much with their experiences. And I beat myself down so much from my experiences, how I interpreted experiences and communicated those experiences to myself my whole life. So whenever I got traded, I'm not good enough. Don't you guys see what I did? But I didn't realize that I was so good that I was tradable. I didn't understand the industry of how it's working, the business, because I hurt so bad from my story. And that's what I try to do to help people out now is I tell people, rewrite your story. That story that you're telling yourself is chock full of BS and limited beliefs. That was me. So what am I saying? At 3 o'clock in the morning, I found myself on the floor of a van. After I realized that even church was putting a Band-Aid on it, brother. I found myself at 3 o'clock in the morning on a van outside my ex-wife's house with my 3 children inside her house as I was losing everything. People don't realize 6 years ago I was sleeping in a van, man. And I was scrounging up change out of the cup holder of my van just to try to feed my kids Little Caesar's Pizza. All the while my children are going to school, telling all their friends, my dad played for the Diamondbacks. My dad played Major League Baseball. I lost everything in my life because of my identity of who I was, from my belief system, how that was created. And the decisions I made on a daily basis just put me in a spiral of nothingness. Because what happens with the Major League Baseball players, so many Major League Baseball players think that nobody can help them. You don't understand, bro. You don't get because it's such a high level of operation every single night, going out there performing and doing what you got to do and separating from everything in your life. It's crazy. And here I lie on the floor of this van, motionless. A guy that so many envy. After overdosing on drugs and alcohol, here's this guy. And as the soul's leaving the top of my head and I'm clinging on to my last breath, the thoughts going through my mind racing. That's what's going to kill you guys. That's what's going to limit you, or that's what's going to drive you to the top of have fulfillment and success. It's your mind. It's the one thing that God has no control over. We have to learn how to control our mind because our conscious mind controls our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is tied into our belief system of who we are. My mind's racing saying, you've lost everything. You're a failure. What would your parents think if you left this world today? What kind of dad would do this to his kids? Are you serious? That's what's going through my mind as I'm grasping on to my last breath. Because I'm so tired of fighting this game of not knowing what to do. And my answer to that was, I don't know. Because I'm nothing if I don't have baseball. And if people don't understand by this testimony, this story, the understanding what they're doing to these kids today, because these kids don't have identity. They don't understand what's going on because they're being so influenced by environment. They don't have a self-confidence because of technology, because of their phones, and everything's going so fast. They have no idea what they are, and they're losing themselves at such a young age. I lost myself as an adult. So I let go because I was tired of fighting that pain-driven game, and I don't know if I died or if I fell asleep 6 years ago. And by the grace of God, the next day, the sun peered through the front windshield of my van, and it went in my eyes, and it woke me up, dude. And when it woke me up, I came to. And when I came to, I realized I had no side effects from the concoction of pills and the alcohol I took the night before, dude. Like, I had no stomach ache, no headache, no nausea, no nothing. It was like a clear aha moment. And from the concoction of pills and alcohol I took, there should have been only two options because I'm obsessive and I know how to rock it. And that's what's scary when you have that addiction to go out there and have success. You have to be careful how that navigates throughout your life, because what I took the night before, I should have either been in a hospital or I should have been dead. But it was an aha moment. And what happened is I kept going. Because that's the name of my nonprofit foundation, Against All Odds. That's all I know, is to fight against all odds. And I know there's going to be better days, but I just can't give up. See, the overdose of drugs the night before wasn't just trying to kill myself. It was trying to numb that pain, because there's only so much pain you could hold. There's only so much you could deal with, and so much negativity and so much cyclical stuff of just like crap going through your mind. And what happened, dude? Through that process that led me up to that night in the van, I would pray to God for 2 years straight, dude, to bring a woman into my life. See, this is after 2 failed marriages, after losing everything in my life. Like, I was the worst person to have relationships, dude. I was the worst person. I was the biggest asshole, pardon my French, in Major League Baseball, because my story, everything I'm telling you about, like, I ruined everything in my life. And I prayed to God to bring a woman into my life that would help me out, because that's the only person that I would ever listen to. I wouldn't listen to a mentor. I never listened to a coach. I always combated because of my story from my father. So what I'm trying to say is even more important is that I prayed for 2 years to have a woman come into my life to be a mother to my 3 children that are adopted, because they never had that. And it was challenging, and it sucked. And I'd pray, and I'd just try to figure out a way. And I'd pray, and I'd try to figure out a way. And shortly after that fateful night in the van, the Lord brought my wife into my life. My wife and I have been married for 5 years. This is 5 years ago. And it took someone else to help me, that Major League Baseball player, who all the people are trying to raise their kids to become a Major League Baseball player or a successful D1 athlete or whatever we're trying to do, because we think this fantasy world is going to be the most amazing fantasy. You want to know the truth? I just told you the truth of that fantasy world. And it took someone else to help me through the process of creating a new identity and a new belief system. And after 35 years old, it's so very, very difficult for a man to recreate a belief system, especially a man who was treated like a god on top of the world, like I was. And I did that. I went through this 12-year deep dive in this journey of just trying to discover who I was and to try to find happiness and peace, which is situational, and fulfillment, just like you are, just like everybody else is. That's what we Major League Baseball players are trying to do. And it took someone else like my wife. She's the first person to love me unconditionally. She's the first person to believe in me. She's the first person to hold me accountable. And that's the hardest thing for a Major League Baseball player, is to have people hold them accountable, because they're goddess. We could do whatever we want. And with this new identity, with me finding my new identity of who I truly am, when you tap into that, brother, what you do is you tap into gifts and talents that you never knew you had. I believe we've all been created with a talent and a gift. I believe we've all been created with a gift to help solve other people's problems. That's the greatest feeling in the world. And that's the number one reason why I agreed to do this Instagram Live, because this is my gift. I've found my voice, and I want to use my voice to help other people find their voice, or like you, to use your voice to impact the world, because there's no greater feeling, brother. I lived a life. I flew the private jets. I did it all. And that's nothing. That's just temporary. That's temporary, and that's situational, and that's external, and that doesn't last. And that's where it's at, dude. So I'm sorry, you asked who Shea Hillenbrand was. I gave you who the heck Shea Hillenbrand is.
Where do I even begin? That was unbelievable. You're unbelievable. Your story's unbelievable. And, I'm just not surprised by the amount of, success and passion. It's really flattering that you even gave me this time to do this. So I really appreciate it. And I kind of want to run through a brick wall for you. So
do it for you, bro. And do it for you and your identity of who you are, so you can make that impact for the people you're trying to influence. That's why I do what I do, man. Like, I've had it all. And by the way, like, I'm back on top again. Like, I'm living in my dream house. I'm living in my dream neighborhood. I have my dream wife. I have 5 kids. And I thought hitting a baseball is hard, dude. Raising these kids, this stuff's challenging, bro. I
Oh, of
thought I was
course.
good until I became a father and to raise teenagers, daughters rolling their eyes at you. I'm a cheer dad now. Like we have 3 girls, beautiful girls that are cheerleading, like all-star cheerleading. It's not like school. It's like the real deal. And I'm trying to navigate that space because I'm thinking like they think like I do. And they're looking at me like, no, dude, I don't do that. I just want to have fun. So and 2 boys that are trying to find their way and do that. But this is my dream. I'm living my life. I'm living my identity. I thought my gift was to play Major League Baseball and swing a bat, swing one of these. And like I said, I can care less. This is just firewood for me. Like I don't care. Like it is what it is. And like I said, when you find your true identity of who you are, I have a 4-step system to be able to help discover your story because your gifts and your talents are locked up into your story. The story that we tell ourselves, driven from our belief system, experiences, all that stuff. And I'm telling you, dude, this is probably the biggest thing you see with the athletes that you deal with is that they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can do it.
Totally.
They say they want to do something, but what happens is they deep down in their belief, they don't believe it. And if your beliefs don't line up with your dream, it's never going to happen. You can have all the right resources, you can have all the right stuff, and this is what happens with so many parents investing thousands of dollars a month to get their kid the opportunity, but their kid doesn't even know what their dream is. Their kid doesn't even know what their belief system is. It's all been formed with them, and we're dealing with a different culture, a different generation of kids, and it scares me. So I want to be that bridge to kind of to bridge that gap between the coaches and influencers like you and the kids, because my heart's for those kids, man. Like I understand it, I see it, and I've been studying this stuff. Like I've got a PhD in this stuff now, like from
Oh, for
experience,
sure.
not from actual schooling, but from that. So yeah.
You're incredible. I mean, it kind of selfish to sound selfish. It makes me like I'm a sponge. I literally was glued to every single piece of advice and word you were just saying. You're an unbelievable speaker and such a motivation. It really gives me selfishly in my company in Just in Time Baseball. Actually, Mariano lives where I live in New Rochelle. So maybe if I run into him, I'll say we talked. But
No, he's an amazing guy, man.
oh yeah, he's
Mariano's
great.
awesome, man. I'm like, it's
He's
an
great.
honor. Like, it's just, yeah.
It's great.
I,
It's great.
yeah.
He's a class act, but long story short, like over the last 2 years, to tie it all together, and in a way, I feel it selfishly makes me feel good. My my mission statement has become over the last 2 years, life lessons through baseball. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like, yes, I'm training kids how to play baseball, yeah, but I'm really trying to develop a youth development, life skills, understanding how to be a good person through the game of baseball, through that vehicle. So what you're saying kind of almost gives me a little bit of reassurance, and it's flattering. So,
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
was going to ask you a bunch of things, but I mean, like, I can't
Ask me
really
whatever you
top
want,
what you
dude.
just. No, you topped it off, man. I mean, I
Whatever you
appreciate
want,
you.
dude. I'm here.
I appreciate you giving me the time, and hopefully we get to speak again. And I'm going to save this and cherish this video and share it with my students because you are such an inspiration. So I really
Yeah, I
appreciate you giving
appreciate
me
it.
the time. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I tell whomever I come on, like whatever I could do for you, let me know. If I can mentor you, if I can
Ditto.
help you out or whatever, let me know because my vision that I had is that see, I have a company that's called 2V's Apparel, and that's my hat and Conquer for me. I do T-shirts, stuff like that. But it's a lifestyle apparel brand. But what it is that I want to equip people to find and use their voice to impact the world. So I can only affect and impact so many people myself, but if I could impact and equip and help the leaders, I like the transformational leader aspect, to transform into the fullest version of yourself. That's my mission, and that's what I want to do. Like I said, I thought playing Major League Baseball was my gift. That's not my gift. It was a vehicle to lead me to where I am, to a stage that I'm on now, to capture the attention of amazing young guys like you, to give me the opportunity to speak. So I'm super grateful. I know that when I played Major League Baseball in Yankee Stadium, I had the 3rd highest active batting average in Yankee Stadium,
Wow.
behind Paul Konerko, Ichiro Suzuki, Shea Hillenbrand. Like,
Wow.
I trained so much to perform in those environments and on big stages like that. I thrived in those situations. But what people don't realize is that I remember hitting a go-ahead, like 7th inning home run off Mike Mussina, and we win with the Red Sox. And I would go out to a restaurant, a 5-star, very fancy restaurant. I would see myself on ESPN with highlights because of what I just did in Yankee Stadium. And I'd be sitting at that restaurant table. I could step to the plate on the field, but I couldn't step to the plate off of the field. I'd be at the table at a 5-star restaurant celebrating, or whatever you would call it, because I could never celebrate because I was struggling and I was lost. Makeshift celebrate. I would have to use the restroom in this restaurant. Imagine this. I just performed in front of 45,000 people, Yankee fans screaming, hollering, cussing me out, doing all this stuff, and I'm at a restaurant and I have to use the restroom, and I couldn't use the restroom. I couldn't get up out of that table from that plate at a 5-star restaurant with millions of dollars in my pocket and walk across the restaurant to use the restroom in fear of people staring at me. So what I'm trying to say, once you discover what drives those belief systems of that fear, of those things that lead you to do what you do, once you I reverse engineered everything. Why did I do this? What caused this? What has this? So I just reverse engineered everything, and it led me to a point of an understanding. And those understandings of why I did and why my life transpired the way it was a breakthrough. So a lot of people think that takes a time, like a week, a year, a month, whatever it is, to have a breakthrough. It takes a moment in time. And that moment of time of understanding of what you're trying to achieve, it's like, oh my gosh, that's it. So once I understood that, what am I trying to say? I never thought I'd ever be doing this. I didn't have a voice when I was on top of the world. I couldn't even do this. I had no self-confidence to even talk to people. So that woman that I prayed for, she taught me this. Like, she's like the most amazing gift God could ever make, my wife. And it brought this Shea, the true Shea, out of me. And once you keep going, and once you keep driving, and once you keep working, like Oprah says it best, you're in charge of filling yourself up and keeping yourself full. You have to work harder on yourself, brother, than you do your business. That's self-development. The chokehold of any business is the skill set or the psychology of the owner of the business. Why do guys not hit? Dude, the success of hitting a baseball is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. What is psychology? What do you focus on? What do you believe? How do you incorporate your brain? How do you understand how to process? How do you react? All the psychology. 20% is mechanics. 20% is how you do it. Please tell me why guys talk about launch angle. Please tell me, guys, why guys do hit and drill and talk about this, talk about this. All you got to do, brother, is get these kids straight and get them to believe in themselves. It doesn't matter how they swing the bat. It matters that they swing the bat and they believe that they could swing the bat. Bro, there's no reason why I should have hit a game winner off Mariano. But I knew the process. When I'm in the batter's box, there's two things I focus on. When do I start? Read the pitch. When do I start? Read the pitch. Crowd's going crazy. 35,000 people. The greatest closer of all time. We're playing our arch enemy, the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, 8th inning. Manny Ramirez on second base. Shea Hillenbrand at the plate. 2 outs. You know how pressure that situation is? You know how many people would crumble under that? But I trained, and I knew how to train, and I know how this works. I know how this works, and I know how this works, and it all falls in a sequential manner to where it's like, when do I start? Read the pitch. Focus on this. If I allow myself to focus on the situation, if I allow myself to focus on Mariano, no chance, bro. No chance. But that's where it's at. So many people don't believe in themselves, and that's what happens. I didn't believe myself off the field. I found my identity through the game. And what happens is, I'm telling you, discover your story, understand that, seek our true identity. Not what we want to do, not what society thinks we should do, not what we think. Dude, who are you? That's my question to everybody. Who are you? And I love that you asked me that. I'm like, okay, doing it short, doing it real. I know who I am. And when you know who you are, you could own who you are. I own what I did in Major League Baseball. I own what I did to John Gibbons in the clubhouse. Google it. I have a picture on the internet. If you Google my name, Shea Hillenbrand images, I have a picture of me in a dugout that says do not want. Like, I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I can't take that down. You know how much that hurt me so many times? Because like, that's not me. That's not me. Well, it wasn't me. That was my character flaws from my belief system, from the story that I told myself. And once you do that, bro, it's liberating. And once you understand your true identity, I'm telling everybody right here, all your listeners, these are like $1 million nuggets, dude. Once you understand your true identity, you ain't got no competition. I don't have competition. I'm just competing against the best version of who I am, who I think I am in my mind. I don't compete against nobody else. I never competed against anybody else on a Major League Baseball field. I hit in front of Barry Bonds, the best hitter ever in the game of baseball. I didn't compete against him. I competed against what Shea Hillenbrand could do. If I tried to compete against him, I was done. My max capability in the Major Leagues was like a level 7. And we all start out at level 1. You work your way up. Focus on level 1. Go to level 2. So many people think that, oh, I'm at a level 3, 4, or 5, and they get distracted like, I need to get here. No, you're level 2. Focus there, master level 2, and then you'll get to where you need to go. I was performing at a level 7, brother, against 10s, 11s, 12s. I'm looking over, I got Randy Johnson next to me. I'm looking over, I got Big Poppy next to me. I'm looking across the field, I got A-Rod, I got Jeter. I'm taking out, like, I got all these guys I'm playing against, but I never thought about that. I never thought about, dude, like, this dude's making $100 million. I thought about, dude, what does Shea Hillenbrand do? If you focus on what you could do and yourself, there's no competition. But you have to find that identity, bro.
You're incredible. You're incredible.
It's God. It's not me, dude. I'm just a vehicle, and I'm using my talent. And in my belief system, I'm a Christian. I believe in faith, and that's just how I am. If people believe in the university, or excuse me, the universe, or whatever it is, dude, like this is my gift. It's not me. So I'm grateful, more grateful than you, because I'm able to tap into, use my gift to be able to help serve other people. Like, I'm grateful. This isn't me. If it was left up to me, dude, I would have, like, I ruined everything. I have a track record of doing that. But being able to find my identity and my gifts of who I am and what my purpose is and what I'm trying to do, like, that's where it's at, man. There's nothing, dude. And I tell this, and I'll close on this. Like, I am 100% transparent, 100% authentic. If I leave this podcast right now, and if I die in my sleep tonight, or if I get in my car tonight by myself, and I get into an accident and die, I'm complete. I'm cool. I don't. There's nothing this world can offer me, because I live that. Do I want to live on? Yeah. Why? To share my voice. To these apparel. I want to inspire people like you to use your voice. I want to equip people like you to go out there and fulfill what you do, to go out there to make the biggest difference for these kids, because they need to find their voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
You're really kind for coming on and giving the time. And, this is a real highlight in the 2020 year in a situation. Obviously, it's been tough for everybody. This was a real highlight. So thanks a lot for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And like 2020, it's like when I lost Major League Baseball, when I left, a lot of people losing their jobs, a lot of people losing money, a lot of people are like all this stuff is distractions. All this stuff is people telling you can't do it. All this, like, this parallels playing Major League Baseball. This parallels 2020 parallels like the minor league journey. Like 2020 is what 2020 is. COVID, pandemic, bring it. Black Lives Matter, bring it, dude. I hung out with more black guys in the clubhouse than I did with white guys. Like, I'm not gonna allow that. All this social media, all this this fear, all this, dude. The last I checked, we have a cure for COVID. Like, there's a cure out there, but it's whatever it is. Like, there's so many distractions. I'm like,
yes.
Dude, here we are. This is where we're at. The president doesn't pay my taxes. COVID's not going to dictate what I'm going to do. Black Lives Matter, whomever. Like, I'm going to love everybody. I'm going to live the fullest version of myself. So when I show up every single day, who knows? There might be somebody on this podcast today that might have been thinking about committing suicide. That might have been thinking about giving up. Like, I got to show up every single day, because that's my purpose, to live the fullest version of myself. Because you don't know. You don't know until you get into a situation. I was there, and that's my why. I want people to establish their why of what they do. You got to establish why you're doing it. My why before was unhealthy, dude. It was to seek approval from my dad. See, what happens, your why has to be greater than you, dude. It has to be greater than you. Like, we've been given so much. We haven't been created to be good. We haven't been created to be great. Like, we've been created for greatness. We've been created to live a life of abundance, like, tap into so much, but everybody gets to 60%. And when they get to 60%, they give up because they have failure. They get knocked on their back. What happens is they allow that failure to define them, dude. What it me? I just kept going. I was like, okay, teach me how to do it. You don't know how to do it? Screw you. Over here, teach me how to do it. I'm going. I'm going to fail. I'm going to go. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go. Like, everybody fails. So what happens, people allow that to define them. You can't. You can't. I appreciate it, dude. I'll go on all night, dude. I'm sorry. Like when you're
No,
operating in your
I
gift, it's
mean,
just like
I don't think any of my listeners would be upset by that, but I appreciate you giving the time, and I would love to do this again. I would love to stay in touch. I mean, you're unbelievable. So I really appreciate you giving
likewise.
the time. I really
And, I,
appreciate it.
and my feelings are mutual. I could tell by the way you're reacting and how you're receiving this, and you're an amazing person, man. And if there's any, like I said, anything I can do to help you, let me know. You already reached out to me. You got my contact. Any of your listeners, anybody that's watching this or whatever, just DM me, Shea_Hillenbrand. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. That's about it right now. And let me know. I will try to help as best as I can. I'm a super busy guy, 5 kids. Like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I'm in the financial space. I'm doing speaking. I got coaching, like not baseball coaching. I don't want to be a baseball coach. And I want to be the internal coach to help people achieve that stuff. So let me know if anybody needs anything.
Shea, thank you so much. And I will definitely spread the word. Thank you so much. Really.
I appreciate it, brother. Have a great night, buddy.
Feel good. God bless.
All right, take care.